Okay, now you'll remember from yesterday that lovely Laura here was talking to proud Pat. Proud Pat? Passionate Pat?
No, proud
anyway, Pat. Pat was the kind of guy, he's kind of like me. He thinks horoscopes are fun, but they're not really serious. He called them kind of silly or nonsense, which means it's not something you should really believe. It's not science. It's not a fact. But Laura here, she had a different opinion.
I believe in star signs.
Yeah.
I think we have to actually learn everything from the horoscope section.
Interesting.
It's so accurate.
So fortune telling, seeing your future, using your star sign is something that you would believe is very valuable. But then Pat, he had a bit of a surprise because Laura guessed that he was a Leo, that his sign was Leo the lion. Pat had never told her this, so Pat was very surprised. Maybe this fortune-telling stuff is real. And at the very end of yesterday's story, Pat was doubting himself. He was starting to think, maybe what I thought was wrong. Maybe fortune-telling is real. It's important. I should pay attention.
He should.
So let's get into our article. It says, Pat leans forward in his seat. When you lean forward, you kind of move forward. Often if you're sitting down and you lean forward, it's because you're suddenly very interested in the conversation. You're really paying attention.
Okay, 所以一开始Pat 他已经很开心了，他好像比较专注了，因为他 lean forward 就是往前坐。And what does Pat say?
Well, he says, Laura, tell me more about Leos.
I got him interested.
Pat's a little fish and the hook is in the mouth. He believes it, or at least he's starting to believe, so he wants to learn more. If you want to learn more, you would ask a person, tell me more, teach me more, I want to learn.
OK， 所以 Pat， 没错，你上钩了，你引起你的注意力了，好奇心了。他说，哎 ，Laura， 那你跟我说说看啊 ，Leos 狮子座是如何 ？So I say, for the most part, Leos are generous and quite caring. So that's pretty good. Those are pretty good qualities or personalities. 所以大部分的时候呢，这个狮子座他们是很 generous， 很慷慨，而且很会关心人。这里我们看到 for the most part 就是通常怎么样，主要怎么样。And generous, what does that mean?
Generous means you give what you have very freely. If your friends need help, you give them help. You give them time. You might give them money. If you have a sandwich and your friend has none, you'll break the sandwich in half and give them half of it, even if you'll be a little bit hungry. You're not like, no, this is mine. Stay away. This is mine. No, that would be the opposite. That would be stingy, cheap, miserly, something like that. No, if you're generous, you're happy to give it away because you want everyone to have enough.
Okay, I'm pretty generous. Generous 是什么？就是大方的啊，慷慨的，不像我姐姐的小孩。Unlike my sister's kids, they are very, very stingy and cheap. They don't share any chocolate bars with me.
Well, kids can be kind of selfish sometimes, especially with chocolate.
Okay, so you can be generous with lots of things like time, money-wise, right?
Your energy, your effort.
Right, okay, or generous to the poor, right?
Ah, sure.
Okay, so then Pat is happy. He says, that description fits me perfectly.
Wow.
I like to do nice things for my friends and family.
Interesting. All right. Well, a description is basically when you use words to sort of draw or paint a picture. Right? If I can't draw something for you, I'll tell you a description. Instead of drawing a picture of it, I'd say, well, it's a very large animal. It lives in the ocean. Sometimes it's blue. It jumps out of the water and it's got warm blood. And you might say, oh, that sounds like a whale. That description sounds like a whale. Exactly. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving you a description. I'm using words to draw a picture.
Okay, 所以Pat 目前听到都是非常好的个性，所以他在说，拜托这个 description 这个描述完全符合我啦。我喜欢为我的朋友和家人做事情哦，做一些好的事情。其中我们提到的 description 当然就是描述，它是个名词。那我们来认识一下它的动词，如果描述什么东西，我们就用 describe. Okay, now sometimes we need to what? To give the police maybe or provide the police a description of the rubber.
Right.
So we have to know how to describe what the rubber looks like.
That's right.
Yeah, how tall is he? What he looks. Yeah, any birthmarks maybe.
That's
things
right.
Like that.
Tattoos. If he was wearing glasses, had green hair, red hair, purple hair, things like that. You could draw it, but if you use words, you're describing. That's the verb, or you're making or giving a description. which is the noun. All
And
right?
we also saw the verb fit.
Yes,
Okay,
to fit.
在这里呢 fit 是表示符合事实或是描述或是某个要求，比方像是 their story doesn't fit the facts.
Doesn't sort of line up.
Right. Now sometimes fit can also mean to be the right size
Yes.
and shape for someone or something.
If you buy new shoes, you want them to
Right.
fit. You want them to
Exactly.
be not too big and not too small, but fit perfectly.
合脚或是合身的意思。Okay, so what do I say? I say that's sweet.
It's sweet, the description. He
Yeah.
is generous. He's kind.
But
Okay.
listen to this.
Uh-oh.
But Leos can also be self-centered
Oh.
and narrow-minded at
Ooh,
times.
that's not such a good description. All right, being generous and kind, that is a good description.
Right.
So being self-centered is similar to being selfish. It basically means when you're thinking of things or thinking of people, you put yourself first. Now, it's okay to be self-centered sometimes. Of course, if you're sick or something like that, you should think of yourself. But if you do it all the time, your friends will maybe start to think you're not the kind of person they would call helpful or generous.
Okay, 所以 self-centered.
I'm never self-centered.
所以 self-centered.
Let's talk about me.
所以 self-centered.
I'm pretty
Can you stop
great.
being so self-centered, Mike?
Sorry.
Let me talk for one time.
Okay.
Okay, my turn. Okay, so self-centered 就是刚刚我们看到的自我中心的 Okay, and narrow-minded, which is opposite to open-minded, would
Yeah.
be 心胸很狭隘的意思。那 open-minded 当然就是非常心胸很开阔这样的意思。而我们刚刚还看到一个片语，就是 at times，就是有时候如何如何。So next part says, I'm not like that. So he agrees the good parts. He agrees with the good parts, but he doesn't agree with the fact that he's self-centered and narrow-minded. So what does he say next?
Well, he says, I'm not like that. I can't believe you would say that. I feel offended. Well, he's
telling the
sort
truth.
of being self-centered and narrow-minded right now, right? He's
Okay.
not thinking about it with an open mind and sort of looking at himself
Yeah,
honestly.
okay.
He's saying, no, that's not me. You're wrong.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's
So-
kind of narrow-minded.
He feels offended. 他觉得说，哼，我受到冒犯了 offended.
Insulted.
So I remind him by saying, Do you see what I mean? Everything is I. 你看到了没？你说的话都是我怎么样，我这样的意思哦。
Interesting. So now he stops being so narrow-minded. He starts being a little more open-minded, looking at things a little more honestly. And then he says, I guess maybe you have a point. Maybe you have a point means maybe you're right about this fact. And then he asks, Laura, what about your sign? Let's see if we can tell something by it. So he's kind of turning it around. But before we start talking about Laura's sign, let's talk about our shortcut for you, which is all about having a point.
Yeah, I have a good point.
Sounds good.